now they need a bit of trading up, you see, so they don't come out of the things. You know, that's alright.
Some of us don't even quite get that.
Well, this is the scene of Westminster Bridge. You can see Big Ben's is behind me. The picket is pretty much over now. There's been about 30 or so junior doctors here since 8 o'clock this morning. 1 o'clock they decided to call it a day, and now they're clearing up and off they go. There's still quite a lot of press interest.
They want better NHS. Do you think there is some kind of...
Trying to reach an agreement. You simply don't get to the end of a negotiation period after 4 years and just enforce something through that isn't ready.
Yeah. And if he does impose a settlement, I mean, what can you actually do then? Because you've got, a lot of colleagues who've spent their entire lives training to be a doctor. They're not suddenly not going to be a doctor. You can't have perpetual strikes forever. I mean, where do we go from there?
No, definitely. The fact that we're here striking in the first place is an unprecedented situation. We've been pushed to this point, and we're all absolutely gutted to be here in the first place. But I think the problem is you'll end up with a generation that's facing a recruitment and retainment crisis for quality doctors in the NHS. It's going to result in a reduction in the quality and the number. So places like London, specialities like accident emergency, anaesthetics, acute medicine already struggle to recruit. They already struggle to retain doctors. And that's just going to be made even worse by the imposition of this contract.
So you think that being a doc will be a less inviting career for young people?
Yeah, 100%. I think looking at the facts and figures over the last year, applications to medical school are down, applications to speciality are down, almost by a quarter in some specialities. Yet we're already struggling to recruit doctors into accident emergency, into psychiatry, into GP. You make it less attractive. I mean, you look at the government trying to fight the supposed problem with locums and having to bring in emergency last-minute doctors at a premium. That is only going to get worse. It's not going to get any better. It's only going to get worse if you're not filling training posts because you're not recruiting and retaining doctors.
If we just look at the situation as it stands at the moment, I mean, Sir David Dalton, of course, was brought in to try and, get the thing back on track. The Dalton letter that went out last Friday, 7-page letter, in it makes some pretty bold claims about, one of your big calls is it's not safe because doctors will be working longer hours. Actually, in his letter, he says the hours are reduced and there are guarantees about reduced hours. I mean, what's your position on that?
Right, I think you can state in writing and a guarantee that hours are going to be reduced and that we're not going to work in these unsafe hours. But if you look at the contract and the fine detail of it, the dilution of the safety mechanisms by which we don't work those hours, the trust being financially and contractually obliged that we don't work long hours well beyond our rostered hours is being diluted to the point where it may as well not exist.
And so that's they're switching the fines for the trust to the guardian role.
Yeah.
Now, as I understand it, the local BMA rep will have a chance to decide who the guardian is when the fines are imposed, and the fines go back into medical training. You don't find that's enough of an assurance?
So I think the local BMA representative will have some say on who the guardian is, but ultimately it will be a trust-appointed bod. They will decide whether fines need to be put into place. They will then decide where that fine is redistributed. So the trust essentially fines itself and then redistributes the money amongst its own departments. And to get to the point where the trust is even looking at fines, it's going to take such a convoluted, long drawn-out process that actually we're never going to arrive there. It's difficult enough as it is to reach balance with uncompliant rotas. It's going to involve trainees putting their heads above parapets, going to their trainee programme directors, going to the people that are in charge of their rotas and potentially their career progression on a repeated basis, essentially identifying themselves as a trainee in trouble. And they're really going to put their head above the parapet just because they're working unsafe hours. It's literally diluted to the point where it isn't going to happen.
Yeah, you think that won't happen. So what is there a BMA alternative proposal to that?
So the system we have at the moment is relatively robust in that the trust faces fines, and ultimately that's the only thing that a business really takes their interest, is the fact that they...
So you'd leave that in place?
I'd leave it in place, and if anything, I'd shore it up. I'd remove the process completely from the trainees at all and have it as a completely independent review process. As it stands at the moment, trainees still need to put their hands up and potentially identify themselves as trouble trainees to look at rotas that aren't compliant.
I understand. So, I mean, when you look at the picture overall, it's pretty gloomy, isn't it? I mean, unless there's some massive breakthrough in the next week or so, do you have to ballot for the next strike? I don't think there's one on the cards, is there? Would you have to go back and reballot?
So we may have to go back and reballot if we're to take any further strike action. Obviously, none of us are hoping to be anywhere near the picket line again, let alone anytime soon. The fact that there was a deal on the table this week that was blocked, as far as we're being led to believe, was blocked by one person at the top.
Can I just ask you about that? Because the Independent newspaper reported that Jeremy Hunt had blocked a deal. But there's no detail of that deal. No one seems to have any paperwork, and it was only the Independent that actually said that the deal had been blocked. Do you think it's true?
You never believe 100% what you get told in the press. The Independent are normally not bad at having an unbiased view, and it certainly wouldn't be on the realms of possibility that there was a deal in place that was potentially agreed by both parties. And if that is the case, then serious questions need to be asked.
Yeah. Do you really think that the government want to pick a fight with the docs? I mean, what's in it for them? The common mythology is, they want to pick a fight and sell the NHS and the rest of it. But what is really in it for them?
You hope that it's just a naive brinkmanship that's going on with Hunt and the rest of his cronies. Really, you hope that it's just a naive pledge to bring in this manifesto promise that we need to have this 7-day NHS, despite the fact that the NHS already runs where it needs to, 7 days a week, 365 a year, overnight and during the day. You hope that's it. You hope that it's nothing more Machiavellian than that they're trying to undermine, break up and sell off the NHS. But you never know what's going on behind closed doors. I mean, if it is a case that Hunt has just pushed himself to the brink and he's now being forced into the corner to deliver this pledge and promise, you hopefully that the rest of his party are going to swoop in and remove him from the process.
Well, there you are. I think that's a really interesting upsum of what's happened, and I'm very grateful to you. Well,
thank you very much for your time.
Thanks very much. And we'll push this out to our readers, and let's hope that I don't have to stand on the freezing Westminster Bridge with you for the third time. Thank you very much.
No, pleasure. Thank you.
At 6 o'clock. So I think there's another live broadcast at around 2 o'clock. So I may see you then. But for now, from Westminster Bridge and Big Ben, the pickets are dispersing, and perhaps there'll be some more back here later on. But that's the strike day from my point of view here in London.